Hi everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher, doing take 3 of this video for you. Hopefully this time it'll work. I got interrupted by a robocall, and then it oriented me the wrong way, and now here we are. So how was everybody's week? Happy 2020 to everyone out there. I hope you're all having a good start to your year. I appreciate all the well wishes. I am doing much better. You may hear me cough some, but otherwise I think I'm basically past all the really icky parts. Alright, so we've got Q&A. There's no haul this week, but we do have, of course, whip updates, a new start, and I'm going to do a whip parade of my 25 active whips for everybody to see, so you can kind of see what I'm supposed to be working on officially. But we're going to stick to our guns on this one. Alright, so diving right on into the Q&A. The first one comes from Tressa P. And she asks, is stitching a sampler hard for a new stitcher? And the answer I would say is probably no. Samplers are probably one of the easier things to jump into. The things like a chatelaine is going to be significantly more difficult because of all the specialty stitches, but your basic samplers are going to be fairly straightforward. Same with anything by Frosted Pumpkin, Clouds Factory, etc. So you're pretty much safe with any of those. Alright, Mandy Gershmill says, I've noticed while watching your videos that you use a Q-snap frame over your stitches. Have you noticed your stitches getting flattened? Also, have you noticed your stitches getting skewed while sliding your Q-snap pieces off the frame? So the first part, yes, I have seen that happen. I trade projects often enough, it's not usually a big thing. Fortunately, floss, particularly DMC, is very forgiving. So you can generally run your finger over it, or a needle, or a Q-tip, and sort of fluff it back up into position. But quite honestly, unless you're just directly on top of it, you're not going to really notice too much. I have seen specialty stitches get skewed when taking them off a Q-snap, particularly French knots. So a lot of times I will save those for the very end for that reason. But general cross stitches I don't tend to notice getting skewed when taking them off the frame. And again, they're pretty forgiving and snap back. Alright, Kevin Tober asks if I can tell the title of the book I'm using for City Mouse and Country Mouse. And I apologize, I thought I had done that. It is from Fables and Fairy Tales to Cross Stitch. And it's a Veronica and Ginger book. I had to order it off of Nancy's Notions, though, because Amazon is out of stock, and there's no date on restock. So I don't know if that means that the first print is done, and there won't be a second reprint, and it's just now wherever you can find it. I don't know. Apparently it's a windy day out. The Mama Llama, I'm actually not doing the reading challenges. I don't quite have enough time to do those kind of challenges. But generally it's similar to the stitching. You have to read a book that fits specific prompts, and they usually have to be 125 pages. But I would definitely check in your group. Most of the groups have a group chat. They would definitely be able to assist with that question better than I can. Alright, Apollonia Lambertus has 2 questions. She says, first, what do you do with all your finished projects? Most of them end up in a bag, in a drawer. However, now that I know my LNS will finish things in Canvas style, I will be getting a lot more things finished this year. To which my framer lovingly went, oh lord. I'm excited. And then her next question is, have you ever worked on a project and you're super into it, and then you look at the time and it was really late? Not necessarily, largely because of the way my work schedule has always been. I've had to kind of keep an eye on what time it is. And usually on the weekends when I can stay up a little later, I still poop out around the time I would normally go to bed. And so that hasn't really happened to me. Now, I have been stitching and so into something and looked up and like 3 hours has gone by, but I've never had it where it's been, oh my gosh, this is really late. Why am I not in bed? Tiffany Dye has a couple of good questions. She says, or one good question. She says, I need to build up my stash. What good floss or fabric of the month clubs have you done that you would recommend? I would recommend, and some of this is going to depend on certain things. Fabric-wise, you're going to be paying just about the same across the board. What I would recommend first doing, because most of them offer their own fabric of the month club, buy a couple of individual pieces from all of them, and then whoever's you like best, go ahead and do their fabric of the month. In terms of ones that won't break the bank, probably the easiest one in that regard is Ship's Manor, because it's month to month. You're not invoiced. You just go in and he offers 2 colors, a primitive and a non-primitive, and it's usually available the first week of the month to order. So you can order his just as you want to. So I am in Fortnite Fabrics one, and I was in Under the Sea, but I've dropped Under the Sea. So those are the fabric of the months. Floss of the months, there aren't too many that do a floss of the month. The way I do floss of the month, personally, is I go through 3L Threads, which is Trisha. What she does is she has a nest egg subscription, and you pick a brand or brands of floss that you would like. It's a set price based, well, not a set price. The price depends on which brand you're buying, and in a couple of cases, what yardage. So Gentle Arts, you can get a 5 or a 10 yard skein, so obviously the 10 yard skein is going to be a little bit more. And you get between 5 and 10 skeins of floss a month. So right now, mine is currently, I think, 31, and I'm doing Kreinik and the Gentle Arts wool. And she does just about everyone out there that you can possibly imagine. I know Eric of Ship's Manor does a floss of the month that's usually fairly affordable. But in terms of building up your stash, probably Trish is the best way to go there for floss. All right, Linda Kleindienst asks, for the Mill Hill button and beads kits, are you going to stitch them on the perforated paper that comes with them, or stitch them on regular fabric? And I'm going to be stitching them all on one big piece of fabric. I won't be doing the full series, because obviously that would be an insanely large piece of fabric, but I am going to do, I think I worked it out and I can get 12 on that one. But when I actually get ready to start, that's when I'll actually figure out how many I can fit. Let's see. Chelsea Olish asks, do you make working copies for your Mirabilias? Yes, I do. The real trick is finding where to get the copy done at. Usually I can do it pretty safely at the self-serve at Staples, or Office Depot or one of those. Some of them will be really particular and go, oh, no, it's copyrighted, we're not going to do it, even though a working copy is permissible under copyright law. So I tend to just do it at the self-serve. I actually make working copies of just about everything that's not a PDF. And even then, some PDF patterns I'll print off if they're super detailed, just to make it easier. Go Hogs, I will be answering your modern folk question in a moment. You'll get to see that. Stitching Haven asks, how many whips are you comfortable having at a given time? Apparently my answer is going to have to be 25 active ones and about 40 total altogether. That's going to have to be my answer, because that's what I got now, and I don't have a choice. I got to be comfortable. So as long as I can try and keep it under 50, I'm probably okay. Keyword try. And then she asked, do you just go with the flow when stitching or on each, or do you have a time set each day? Kind of a mix. I don't really have a specific time set. It's mostly just after work. But I tend to go with the flow. You'll sort of see this week my original plan for Sunday went out the window. But that's okay. And I think that takes me through the Q&A. All right. So, like I said, there's no haul this week, so we're going to jump right on into whip updates. So, when I left you on Sunday, I was going to work on Jack's Halloween Dream and finish up that little band. Well, I got to working on the little band and was really enjoying it, so I just decided I'd finish up the bottom half. So, there we go. The bottom half of Clue 1 is done. So I'm doing, this is by the Frosted Pumpkin. It's on Brigid Jobelin from Under the Sea Fabrics. So there we go. This one is going to get worked on this week. So we'll hold that aside for that. Magical Stitches kicked off. On New Year's Eve, because I was waiting on the first part, I actually did go ahead and start my Country Mouse and City Mouse. So I got their little wine glasses and a kerchief started. I'll be working on that one today for some extra credit points. And in case you want to see the original design again. It is that one there. So that's what little bit I got done on New Year's Eve. Because first I was bobbinating, and then I thought, oh, well... after that, then I made a slightly difficult decision. I've decided not to do the Stitch Your Own Adventure Hogwarts Sal. Because that first part came out, and while it's a cool banner, I will never get that stitched. It's just, that will never get done by me. I think it's great. I just know my own stitching self well enough to know that it's not something I'll ever finish. And I was already kind of struggling trying to work on the project anyways. So I frogged everything so that I could use it for my Modern Folk Embroidery Sal, because the colors I had were not quite what I was wanting. So I frogged that. I had to frog all that, and then I worked on that one. So here is my start and finish on part 1 of Modern Folk Embroidery Sal. This is on Selkie from Under the Sea Fabrics, which was added to the core line. The red is Manor Red from Classic Colorworks, and the green is Old Mint from Victorian Motto Sampler. There is supposed to be a little more in part 1. There was the start to the motif area below this one, but it's not enough of it that I thought I will wait until we actually get to that page, because I don't want to have... I want to make sure, since I'm using so many variegated colors, I want to make sure that everything sort of flows okay. There's obviously supposed to be more border here, and then this part right here is supposed to have been started. But I used almost an entire skein of Manor Red, and I was a little leery of using up my full skein until I could go somewhere and do some floss comparing. But here's part 1. And I absolutely loved doing it. It was 1,975 stitches. Yeah. I started it on Wednesday afternoon. I finished it yesterday evening. I would have actually finished it earlier yesterday, but we left before I could, and then we didn't get back in time, so I was hurrying to finish it last night. But there it is. So I'm absolutely loving this, and I am so ready for next month. Alright, so that's what I worked on this week. So I used this in Magical Stitches. I used it for our, for the ticketing center stitches. I used it for the ferry. I used it for the monorail, and I've used it for Cinderella's castle. I also used it for our homework this week, where we were supposed to stitch on a project that represented one of the main characters. Since I was working on that and I didn't know when I would get done, I just penalty stitched that. So that's what I worked on. Alright, so today, like I said, I'm going to work on Country Mouse. So for next week's homework, Alright, so for next week's homework, shoot. Shoot. I don't have easy access to these. So what I'm going to do is I'll tell you what I'm working on, and then when we actually get to it, I'll show it to you. So the first one was we have to stitch on something with non-human with human characteristics to represent the animatronics. So I'm going to be working on Count Your Blessings because it has bunnies and wearing clothes. The next one is something that's a stretch. I'm going to work on the Pride and Prejudice Sal, because that one was a stretch for me because I'm not really a Jane Austen fan. For something related to a firehouse, I'm going to be working on Nevermore because I didn't really have anything specific, and I'll penalty stitch it, although I am going to try and argue that the light behind in the windows sort of looks like the building is on fire. Maybe. And then for the 200 stitches in black, I will be stitching on Jack's Halloween Dream, because there's just a little over 200 in the H, the P, and the Y, and happy. So I'm going to try and at least get that part done. So, without further ado, and that's why I'm not doing Sal Sunday today, because I just finished up doing a big Sal, and I've got 2 Sal projects on the docket this week. And speaking of Pride and Prejudice, Stitching Book Club is going to start the pre-orders for Three Musketeers next week. I'm excited. Alright, let's dive on in. Okay, so, Whip Parade. So we've got Nutcracker from Soda Stitch. Some of these you're going to go, oh yeah, I've seen this recently, and some of you are going to be like, wait, I haven't seen that in a while, because I haven't stitched on it in a while. So, Nutcracker from Soda Stitch. This is on Christmas in Williamsburg by Under the Sea Fabrics, and it's a gold opal. Alright. We've got With the Needle, number 1, from Lila's Studio. This is on Rosemerta from Under the Sea Fabrics. So, my goal this month is that I'm going to one of my goals is to stitch on every project at least once during the month. So, there's 31 days, 25 whips, so obviously some things are going to get stitched on twice. But this way, everything gets some love each month. Alright. Then we've got Fairy Tale Favorites, which came out to replace Atlantis from Owl Forest. So, and this one's on Sampler Gold Joblin from Color and Cotton. So now that the full pattern is out and I can see it all, that'll help make some of my color changes work a little better. Because I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this character in this color, and then have 2 others right next to it with those colors. Alright, here's Nevermore. This is on Chai Tea from Witchelt. So, and I have to decide if I'm going to work above or below. And I haven't decided yet. maybe below. I feel like working with some funky greens, I think. We'll see. Set you there, because I'm going to need you this week. Alright, we've got Words to Live By. Which I've gotten very little accomplished on. So, but I will work on it at least one day this month. Because I know once that centerpiece gets done, because the border's not all that tricky, but once I get that centerpiece done, then it's going to just fly on by, I feel fairly sure. I just have to actually do it. Therein lies the problem sometimes. Okay. Let's see. There's Quilts, which is one of my favorites. This one's on, I think, Tiramisu from Under the Sea Fabrics. Oh, the Words to Live By was on Freya from Under the Sea Fabrics. Yeah, this is Tiramisu. Haven't gotten to work on this one in a little bit. Okay. We've got good old Pride and Prejudice. So my goal is to actually finish up the... is to actually finish up the first part. Because I don't have all that much left on the first part. So I'm hoping I will finish this one before Three Musketeers begins. If I don't, then what I will probably just do the mini Three Musketeers. But we'll see. Because Secret Garden, for sure, I want to do the full. We've got Hufflepuff Wreath, which is like a third of the way done. A little over. Oops, Apprentice, you need to come over here because you're being worked on this week. We've got 22nd Psalm, or actually it's technically called The Lord is My Shepherd. It's the 22nd Psalm. It's a Dimensions kit from 1988. And it's on linen. 25 count linen. So I did get a little more. I have worked on this briefly since you last saw it. So it now says fear no evil 4 instead of ear no evil. So I can't make any more ear puns with it, which I'm sure Olna appreciates. Alright. Wizard of Oz by Leslie Tier. Ta-da. There's it. Alright. The Weasley Twins. This is Mandarin's Designs, and this is on Spellbook from Color and Cotton. Good old Fred. Alright, one that's been away for a long time. Sizzlin' Summer Carnival from Tempting Tangles. And I think this one's on Sandy Shores by Dye Stitch Love. I think. But I'm a little over halfway done with this one, so hopefully I can get my rear in gear and get this one out of here eventually. Now You're in the World by Heart and Hand, and this is just on a mystery fabric that I've got. And part of me wishes I hadn't started this one on it, simply because this, I think, actually would have fit Holy Moses. But that's okay. So that's where I'm at on that one. What makes this one so killer is those big blue river parts. Lizzie Kate's Spirit of Christmas. This is on the Called For. It's on Heartland by Picture This Plus. So I'm about halfway through part 2. Alright, we've got Corner of the World, or Corner of the Earth, I should say. This is on Autumn Jubilant from Under the Sea Fabrics. Almost halfway done on that one. This is going to be a longer video than normal. Alright, we've got good old Ginny Beans Halloween. This is on Desert Sand, I believe, from Witchelt. So next time we work on this, I should hopefully get the house filled in. We've got Paradise Lost by Plum Street. Which I'm definitely going to be looking forward to going back to now that I'm done with that stupid cloud. And I'm on a page that doesn't have Blue Banner. I've had this one long enough that its little closure snap thing broke. I gotta get that one finished. Alright, Universal Monsters. There it is. And I think what I'm probably going to have to do on this one to sort of jumpstart me back up is I'm going to have to work on a room, because I'm a little tired of roof. But work on room, then go back and work on roof. Which will probably mean stitching them out of order, since the section of roof I need to work on is the section with Frankenstein. So... Alright. Then we've got Count Your Blessings. There we are on it. So I just have to decide what direction I'm going to work on next. And this is on a blue fabric that I don't know what is. I don't know what Paradise Lost is on. Universal Monsters is on Nessie, which was also added to the main line from Under the Sea Fabrics. Quaker Oz, which is on A Ship's Manor. I don't know which fabric of the month it was, though. But there it is. We've got Summer Patchwork by Susan Bates, and this is on a yellow Brittany fabric. There's it. I just love the colors in this one. And then finally, Needles Dance, which is on Blue Moon. That's where it is. And that, as they say, is all she wrote. So those are the whips. That's what I'm going to be working on this year. Like I said, my goal is that I'm going to, for every one I finish, I'll bring one of the inactive whips back up. And then for every 3 I finish, I have a new start. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's fill my thing. Okay, all right. So that's it for me this week. I will see you all next week. I hope you have a terrific week. And happy stitching.